The Disability Discrimination Act became law in 1995, and disabled people have always been doubtful that the Act would have any teeth. So, were they right or were they wrong? 3 years on, we put the Act on trial. About 850 claims have been made under the employment section of the Act, and of those that have got as far as the Industrial Tribunal, only 10 have been successful. Only 40 goods and service cases have been taken through the Small Claims Court. It is not known how many have been successful. Bert Massey, Director of Radar and a member of the National Disability Council, will be a witness for the defence case for the Act. Francis Hassler from the Rights Now campaign will be a witness for the prosecution. Francis, in short, why are you so opposed to this Act?
The reason why we opposed the DDA when it was brought in and why we continue to oppose it is that it's very limited in its scope and in its enforcement, and that it actually justifies discrimination against disabled people.
The Act has come in for considerable public criticism. How would you say that the Act has served the very people it was set up to protect?
The Act, I think, has served as a valuable catalyst to the later legislation. It is helping disabled people, and if the Act is a waste of time, the argument then has to be, let us abolish the Act, let us stop making taxis accessible, let us delay for another 10 years making buses accessible, let us remove the right on employment. If you believe those things are worthwhile, then say we need stronger legislation, but don't kill this Act yet. It's guilty of something, but it's not that guilty.
Exhibit A, my lord.
A group of people with learning difficulties were invited to a party at a local pub. When they arrived, the bar staff refused to serve them, and they were left high and dry, so to speak. The group filed a case under the Goods and Services section of the DDA and were awarded £800 each, so the drinks are definitely on them.
But what about the employment section? How does the Act ensure that disabled people are not discriminated against in work?
The employment provisions of Section 2 are the nearest in the Act to what disabled people wanted in the original Civil Rights Bills.
Exhibit B, my lord.
I've been a postman for 14 years. They dismissed me because of the time I said I'd had off, like, over the years. I think that in the rules and the procedure, like, it was something like 13 days a year or something like that. I thought it was unfair because of my asthma. That was the only reason I could see that there was nothing else. So therefore I thought it was being discrimination, but we don't know whether it could come under the law, which the law says it does. So I won the case. It's on the unfair dismissal and the discrimination. I've now been reinstated and got all my job back, and I think it will, hopefully anyway, help other people in the future if they have got any sort of disability.
Call the prosecution to the bench.
The reason the Act fails is because it fails far more people than it helps. It fails because it doesn't cover all disabled people. Many, many people with many quite recognisable impairments are not covered by this Act.
Do you have evidence to back up your claims?
Yes, my lord, I do.
Exhibit C, my lord.
A man with rheumatoid arthritis was dismissed from his job as an HGV fitter. He tried to make a claim under the Disability Discrimination Act, but it was dismissed on the grounds that his disability didn't have a significant effect on his day-to-day activity. He will only be covered by the Act when it's judged that his condition has become more severe.
Surely it is right that people should be challenged if their level of disability seems insignificant, or they'll all be jumping on the bandwagon.
I think that goes to the heart of what's wrong with this Act. At the moment, if you have a diagnosis, say, of HIV, you can be discriminated against quite lawfully. You don't get protection from this Act until the point at which you have an AIDS diagnosis.
You have always been opposed to this Act, but now that it is in place, do you not recognise that it's a step in the right direction?
Even in the areas where it does cover, like employment, it only covers organisations that have more than 20 employees, and vast numbers of firms have fewer than 20 employees. Everybody who works in those is not covered.
Exhibit D, my lord.
had cause to rely upon the Disability Discrimination Act early last year when I was seeking an appointment as a chief executive with a local charity group. The post as advertised included the requirement that people had a full driving licence and daytime use of a car. In actual fact, I'm completely mobile, and the job requirement would have been fairly modest in terms of the area covered by travelling. What was particularly hurtful was not even to be able to be considered, because I simply didn't have a driving licence. It might as well have said, the blind and the visually impaired need not apply. I did alert the organisation that they were possibly in breach of the Disability Discrimination Act. I then took up proceedings, but unfortunately found that if the organisation has 20 staff or less, the Act simply doesn't apply.
It is clear to me that this Act isn't all it should be as an anti-discrimination measure. So, what can be done?
The DDA is helping us to create better legislation for the future, with a history behind it and a knowledge base, which we would not have had we gone straight into civil rights legislation.
Complete rewrite is the only thing that will improve this Act. Tear it up and start again.
Here is an Act, let's use it, while simultaneously fighting for stronger and better legislation for the future.
The verdict of this court is that the Disability Discrimination Act is guilty of being a waste of space and is sentenced to a thorough redrafting. Case closed.